Aaron had always been drawn to quiet places. While others in his town sought bustling streets or crowded markets, he preferred the calm corners where stories seemed to linger like whispers. One late afternoon, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, Aaron wandered along a narrow path he had never noticed before. The path twisted between overgrown hedges and old stone walls, and at the end, hidden under thick ivy, stood a tall, grand building that looked forgotten by time. Curiosity sparked in him. The building had an old, wooden door, cracked and weathered, with faded golden letters above it that were barely legible. Aaron reached out and pushed the door. It opened with a soft creak, revealing a space so enormous that his voice echoed when he whispered a greeting. Dust floated in the sunlight streaming through cracked windows, and the air smelled faintly of old wood and memories. Before him lay a grand ballroom, abandoned but strikingly beautiful. The chandeliers hanging from the high ceiling were coated in layers of dust, yet their crystal pieces caught the light in tiny sparkles. The wooden floor, though worn and scratched, still held a sense of elegance. On the far wall, a large mural showed a pair of dancers. One was human, like Aaron, and the other, he noticed, had delicate features that were not entirely human. Their hands were clasped together as if they were frozen mid-dance, smiling at each other with perfect joy. Aaron took a careful step forward. Each footfall sounded loud in the quiet hall. He ran his fingers along the edge of the mural, imagining the laughter and music that must have filled this room once. The thought made him feel a little lonely, yet strangely happy. It was as if the ballroom had been waiting for someone like him to discover it, someone who could feel its beauty again. He explored further, noticing details that had survived the years. The tall windows were arched, with delicate carvings at the top, though some were cracked. On the walls, faded patterns of flowers and stars were still visible, almost as if the artists had painted them to last forever. Aaron could imagine grand parties where people danced under these chandeliers, their laughter mingling with soft music. Then, near the stage, something unusual caught his eye. A soft glow shimmered from a corner, subtle but steady. Aaron's heart beat faster, both from excitement and a little nervousness. He stepped closer and realized the glow was not from the sunlight or reflections from the chandeliers. Something, or someone, was there. "Hello." Aaron called gently, unsure if he expected an answer. From the glow emerged a figure. She looked human at first glance, but her skin had a soft, luminous quality, and her eyes shimmered with colors that changed slightly, like sunlight on water. She smiled softly at him. "Hello, Aaron," she said, her voice calm and warm, yet carrying a musical tone that made it feel like it came from the air itself. Aaron blinked, amazed. I didn't know anyone was here." Who are you?" "I am Nia," she replied. "I have been waiting for someone who could see this place again, someone who could feel it." Aaron took a step closer, studying her face. There was a kindness in her eyes, a patience and a quiet sadness that seemed tied to the ballroom itself. "I didn't know this place still existed," he said softly. "I've never seen it before, but it feels like it was waiting for me." Nia's smile deepened. "Perhaps it was. This ballroom holds many memories, Aaron. But most of all, it holds hope for those who can see beyond the dust and shadows." Aaron felt a strange warmth in his chest. Something about Nia, about this moment, felt important, as if he had discovered not just a forgotten building, but a story waiting to unfold. He realized that he wanted to come back here, to explore more, to understand the mystery of Nia and the ballroom. As the sun finally slipped behind the horizon, Casting long shadows across the floor, Aaron stepped back, glancing at the mural one more time. The dancers seemed to watch him with gentle encouragement. "I'll come back," he promised quietly, "and I'll try to understand everything about this place, and you." Nia's eyes sparkled softly in the dim light. "I'll be here, Aaron. Waiting." And with that promise hanging in the air, Aaron walked back toward the path that led home, the image of the ballroom etched into his mind, and a feeling in his heart that something extraordinary had just begun. The next day, Aaron could not stop thinking about the ballroom. Even as he walked through the familiar streets of his town, his mind returned again and again to the grand chandeliers, the worn wooden floor, and the mysterious glow that had revealed Nia. The memory of her calm, shimmering presence made his heart beat faster, a strange mixture of excitement and curiosity. As the sun began to lower in the sky, painting the clouds in soft shades of orange and purple, Aaron found himself walking back along the overgrown path. The ivy-covered walls seemed almost alive in the evening light, whispering secrets of the past. When he reached the tall wooden door, he hesitated for a moment, his hand hovering over the handle. Then, taking a deep breath, he pushed it open. The ballroom greeted him with the same quiet grandeur. Dust motes floated lazily in the fading sunlight, and the mural of the dancers caught his attention immediately. But more than that, he felt the presence of Nia before he even saw her. She was standing near the stage, bathed in the faint glow that seemed to follow her wherever she moved. Her eyes brightened as she noticed him. "Aaron," she said softly, her voice like a gentle melody. "You came back." "I couldn't stop thinking about this place," he admitted, stepping closer. "And I wanted to see you again." Nia smiled, a mixture of warmth and relief. "I am glad you returned. Not many can see this ballroom as it truly is. Most only see dust and decay." Aaron looked around. "It feels alive somehow. Like it's waiting to tell its story." Nia nodded. "It remembers the music, the laughter, and the joy it once held. And perhaps it has been waiting for someone who can bring life back to it." Curiosity sparkled in Aaron's eyes. "Life? What do you mean?" Nia motioned for him to sit on the edge of the stage. "This ballroom was once a place of celebration, of unity. Humans and my people, we danced here together, sharing our stories, our dreams, our happiness. But time and distance took that away. I stayed, hoping that one day, someone with a human heart would return and understand its importance." Aaron listened closely, feeling a mixture of awe and sadness. "Why were you left here alone?" he asked gently. Nia's gaze fell to the floor for a moment. "I was a messenger, a bridge between our worlds. I tried to bring humans and my people together, to help them understand each other. But the years passed, and circumstances changed. I could not leave, and so I waited." Aaron's heart ached at her words. He could feel the loneliness that had lived with her all these years. But there was also strength in her presence, a quiet determination that inspired him. "You've been patient for so long," he said softly. "That must have been very hard." Nia looked up, meeting his eyes. "It has been lonely. But I have hope. Hope that someone like you would come, someone who could see the beauty and the story within these walls." A smile tugged at Aaron's lips. "Then maybe I'm here to help bring it back." Nia's eyes lit up. "Perhaps you are." She paused, then tilted her head slightly. "Would you like to hear the stories of this ballroom? The dances, the music, the friendships that once filled it?" Aaron nodded eagerly. "I would love that." For the next hour, Nia spoke, her voice weaving vivid images of the past. She described elegant gowns swirling across the polished floor, the sound of laughter mingling with soft melodies, and the way humans and her people moved together as if they shared one heartbeat. Aaron could almost see the ballroom alive again, even with the dust and shadows around him. At times, Nia would demonstrate a small gesture, a bow, a step, or a hand movement, and Aaron followed, laughing when he stumbled. The connection between them grew naturally, gently, like two pieces of a puzzle finally finding their place. He realized that she was not just a guide to the ballroom's past, but also a companion who made him feel a warmth he had never known before. As the light outside faded completely, Aaron stood up, brushing dust from his clothes. "I don't want to leave yet," he admitted, feeling a strange reluctance. Nia smiled, her eyes reflecting the dim glow of the ballroom. "Then don't. Stay a little longer. Learn its stories. Learn me." For the first time, Aaron understood that this place, and this being before him, were more than just discoveries. They were beginnings of friendship, understanding, and perhaps something deeper. As he sat once more near the stage, he felt a quiet excitement in his chest. The ballroom was no longer just abandoned. It was alive with possibility, and he could feel that the story of Aaron and Nia was only just beginning. Aaron returned to the ballroom every evening. The town around him continued its usual pace, with people rushing through their lives, but in the quiet of the abandoned building, he felt time slow. Every corner held a story, every beam of sunlight seemed to whisper forgotten secrets. And every evening, Nia was there, waiting, her presence as gentle as the glow that always surrounded her. Tonight, Aaron entered through the familiar ivy-covered doorway and felt a small thrill of anticipation. The dust sparkled faintly in the late sunlight, and the mural of the dancers seemed almost to watch him with a soft, approving gaze. "Hello, Nia," he called, his voice echoing through the hall. "Welcome back, Aaron," Nia replied, her eyes warm. "I wondered if you would return today." "I wouldn't miss it," he said, smiling. "I want to hear more stories, and maybe see more of the dances you mentioned." Nia's smile widened. "Very well. Then let us begin." She moved gracefully across the worn wooden floor, showing him gestures that were part dance, part story. Each movement carried meaning, telling of joy, hope, and unity. Aaron tried to follow, sometimes stepping too quickly or missing a movement, but Nia guided him patiently. When he faltered, she gently adjusted his hands or shifted his steps, and he felt a spark of connection, a trust that grew deeper with each gesture. As they moved together, Nia spoke softly. "Humans and my people once danced like this, sharing our worlds in harmony. Each motion, each turn, was more than a dance, it was a way of understanding one another without words." Aaron watched her closely, amazed at the beauty and elegance in her movements. "It's incredible," he said. "Even now, after all these years, it feels alive." "Yes," Nia agreed, her voice quiet but strong. "The ballroom remembers. It remembers the laughter, the music, the friends who shared this space. And it remembers those who can see it again, who can feel its story in their hearts." After a long moment, they paused. Aaron's chest was warm, his heart racing with something he could not yet name. "Nia," he said slowly, "it feels like I'm part of something bigger when I'm here. Something I can't explain." Nia looked at him, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the ballroom. "That feeling is real, Aaron. It is the memory of the past, mingled with the hope of the present. You are part of this story now, whether you realize it or not. They sat together on the edge of the stage, letting their legs dangle over the side. The silence was comfortable, filled with the unspoken understanding that had grown between them. Aaron noticed that Nia did not seem lonely tonight. In fact, she seemed lighter, more at peace, as if his presence had brought back a part of her she had almost forgotten. I think I want to help, Aaron said after a while. I want to bring this place back to life, even if just a little. Maybe not with parties or music yet, but, at least with care and attention. Nia's eyes softened. You have a human heart, Aaron. That is why you were drawn here. Your desire to restore, to understand, is what makes the ballroom respond. It has waited for someone like you for a long time. Encouraged by her words, Aaron spent the next hour exploring every corner of the ballroom. He noticed cracks in the walls where ivy had crept in, dust-covered benches along the sides, and the faint remnants of golden patterns on the floor. He even found a small corner where the mural had faded, its colors dull but still telling a story. I think I can fix this, he said quietly to himself, imagining how the ballroom would look if it were cleaned and cared for. Nia watched him, a gentle smile on her face. And in fixing the ballroom, she said softly, you will also bring life to yourself. You will learn patience, understanding, and joy. Just as I have, waiting here all these years. Aaron looked at her, realizing how much he had already learned simply by being here, by listening, by moving through the dances of the past with her guidance. He felt a quiet certainty that this place, this connection, was only the beginning. He wanted to know more stories, more dances, more of Nia's world, and perhaps more of the feelings that were slowly growing between them. As the evening light faded completely, the ballroom was no longer just a forgotten building. It was alive with possibility, laughter waiting to return, and a sense of unity that had been missing for decades. Aaron and Nia stayed for a long time, speaking softly, moving gently, and discovering the deep bond forming between them. When Aaron finally stepped out into the night, the cool air brushing his face, he felt a sense of hope he had never known. The ballroom was no longer just a place of the past, it was a place where the future could begin, a place where he and Nia could create something extraordinary together. And in that thought, his heart felt full, ready for the next step of the story that was only just beginning. The next evening, Aaron felt a strange excitement as he walked down the overgrown path toward the abandoned ballroom. He had come to cherish these visits, the way each step brought him closer to something magical, something he could not yet fully understand. Tonight, he sensed that something new awaited, something different from the stories and lessons of the past. When he opened the heavy wooden door, the soft glow inside greeted him. Dust danced in the fading sunlight that filtered through the tall windows. Nia was already there, standing near the center of the floor. Her eyes sparkled as she noticed him, and she gestured for him to come closer. Aaron, she said, her voice carrying a warmth that made the ballroom feel even brighter, tonight, I want to show you something special. Not just the past, but how the ballroom can speak through movement. Aaron's heart beat faster. Movement, he asked, curiosity and excitement mingling in his voice. Nia nodded. Yes. A dance. Not just any dance, but one that tells a story of connection, trust, and understanding. You may not know all the steps at first, but that is part of the journey. She took his hand gently, her touch warm and reassuring. Aaron felt a small shiver of excitement. He had followed her guidance before, but tonight felt different, more personal, as if the ballroom itself was alive, ready to participate in the story. Nia led him across the floor slowly, showing him the first movements. Step by step, turn by turn, she guided him patiently. At first, he stumbled, unsure of his footing or the flow of the motions, but Nia's calm encouragement made him feel safe. Her presence gave him confidence, and soon his steps began to match hers. As they moved, Aaron noticed something incredible. The ballroom seemed to respond to their motions. The chandeliers shimmered faintly, catching the dim light. The floor creaked in rhythm, and dust swirled in patterns around them, like tiny sparks of magic. It was as if the building remembered the dances of long ago and was now welcoming new life into its walls. "Feel the story in the movements," Nia said softly. "Each step represents trust. Each turn shows understanding. Each pause is a moment of care. The dance is more than motion, it is expression, a language of the heart." Aaron nodded, focusing on her words. As they moved together, he began to understand the language she meant. In every gentle turn, every careful step, he felt her patience, her hope, and her quiet longing. And he realized he could express his feelings too without words, without explanations, only through the dance. For a moment, he glanced at her face. Nia's eyes were full of encouragement, her expression calm yet radiant. In that gaze, he sensed a connection deeper than friendship, something growing quietly between them. It was not just the ballroom that was alive, his heart felt alive too, in ways he had never imagined. Hours seemed to pass without notice. They danced, sometimes slowly, sometimes in faster rhythms, learning, adjusting, and communicating in this silent, beautiful language. Aaron's confidence grew with each step, and Nia's gentle guidance made him feel capable, appreciated, and understood. The ballroom no longer felt abandoned. It hummed with memories and possibilities, responding to the bond forming between the human and the alien within its walls. Finally, they paused. Aaron's chest was warm, and his breathing was steady but deep. He looked at Nia, and she returned his gaze, a soft smile on her lips. "You are learning quickly," she said, her voice gentle but full of meaning. "And not just the steps. You are learning the story of connection, the language of trust and care." Aaron smiled, feeling a quiet joy. "It feels wonderful. I didn't know I could feel so connected to someone, or something. It's like the ballroom itself is part of us." Nia's smile deepened. "It is. This ballroom has always longed for harmony, for joy, for understanding. And now, it has found it again, through you and me." They stood together in the center of the ballroom, hand in hand, listening to the soft echoes of their movements, feeling the quiet energy of the room around them. In that moment, Aaron realized that the dance was more than just steps, it was a way of expressing feelings that words could not describe. Through the rhythm, the guidance, and the shared moments, he and Nia had discovered a connection that transcended the ordinary, a bond that could grow as naturally and gracefully as the ivy outside the ballroom walls. As the evening light faded completely, Aaron felt a quiet certainty. The ballroom, Nia, and he were part of something extraordinary. And he knew, deep in his heart, that this was only the beginning, the first step in a journey that would bring hope, life, and perhaps love, back to a place that had waited too long to be remembered. The days following their dance in the ballroom felt magical for Aaron. Every moment he spent with Nia made the world outside seem quieter, smaller, and less important. Yet, even as his heart grew lighter, he noticed a new feeling creeping in: doubt. He had grown close to Nia, felt the warmth of her presence, and experienced a connection that went beyond words. But sometimes, he wondered if it was real. Could a human and an alien truly understand each other? Could their bond last outside this place that seemed like a dream? One afternoon, Aaron arrived at the ballroom later than usual. The sun was dipping low, casting long shadows across the floorboards. The door creaked as he opened it, and he paused, glancing around. Nia was not there. A soft glow, usually around her, was absent. Where is she? Aaron whispered to himself, a strange ache in his chest. He wandered through the hall, feeling a sense of emptiness he hadn't known before. The murals seemed dull, the dust heavier in the corners, and the echoes of his footsteps sounded lonelier than ever. For the first time, he felt the ballroom's silence pressing down on him, reminding him that it had been waiting, alone, for decades. Finally, Aaron left the building, stepping onto the path outside. The cool evening air did little to ease his worry. He thought about Nia, about the warmth in her eyes and the gentle guidance of her hands. What if she belongs somewhere else, he muttered quietly. What if I'm not enough to bring her happiness? Meanwhile, Nia had been watching from a quiet corner near the stage, unseen by Aaron. She had sensed his hesitation, his uncertainty, and it made her heart ache. She knew the human mind was full of doubt, fear, and questions, and she also knew that love, if it was to grow, needed courage. He is afraid, she whispered to herself. But he must understand that what we have is real, and worth every risk. The next day, Aaron returned, but with a different heart. He stayed at the edge of the ballroom, barely moving, barely speaking. He watched the murals, the chandeliers, and the floor, trying to convince himself that he could ignore the emptiness he felt. But when Nia appeared, her glow soft but constant, he looked away, embarrassed and unsure. Nia, he began, then stopped. Words felt heavy. How could he explain the doubt, the fear, the tiny voice inside him asking whether their connection could survive the realities of two different worlds? Nia took a careful step toward him. Aaron, you feel uncertain, she said softly, her voice gentle. I can see it in your heart. Aaron swallowed hard. I don't know if this can last. I care about you, Nia, I really do. But sometimes I wonder if I belong in your world, if you belong in mine, if we can really be together. Nia's eyes softened, full of understanding. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. The question is natural. You care deeply, and that is why your heart hesitates. But connection is not about certainty. It is about trust, patience, and the willingness to walk together, even when the path is unknown. Aaron looked at her, the warmth of her hand easing the tension in his chest. But what if I fail? What if I can't give you what you need? You have already given me what I needed, Nia replied, her voice calm but strong. Your presence, your heart, your willingness to see this place and understand me, these are more than enough. Love is not perfect, Aaron. It is courage, it is hope, and it is sharing your heart even when fear is present. Her words sank deep into him. For the first time, he realized that doubt was not weakness, it was simply part of the human experience. And facing it, while still moving forward, was the truest form of courage. Taking a deep breath, Aaron nodded. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose you. Nia smiled, a mixture of relief and joy in her eyes. Then you won't. Not if you continue to trust, to care, and to share yourself. That is all I could ever hope for. In that moment, Aaron felt the walls around his heart soften. The ballroom seemed to respond as well. The light in the chandeliers flickered gently, dust motes danced, and the echoes of laughter from decades past seemed to hum softly in the corners. It was as if the building itself was acknowledging that trust and hope had returned. Aaron stepped closer, taking Nia's hand in his. The fear was still there, faint and lingering, but it no longer felt overwhelming. Together, they stood in the center of the ballroom, hand in hand, hearts quietly reaffirming the bond they had built. It was not perfect, and it was not easy, but it was real. As they looked around at the grand, abandoned space, both felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had each other, and through that, they could bring life back to the ballroom and perhaps to themselves as well. And in that shared understanding, Aaron realized that the journey, with all its doubts and fears, was worth every step. A few days passed, and Aaron could not stop thinking about Nia. Their brief distance had left a quiet emptiness in his heart, but it also gave him time to realize something important: he did not want to live without her presence. He wanted to face the uncertainties, the fears, and the unknowns, because the bond he shared with Nia was too precious to ignore. As the sun dipped toward the horizon one evening, Aaron walked quickly down the familiar path, the ivy brushing against his arms. The old wooden door of the ballroom loomed ahead, warm light spilling from the cracks around it. He took a deep breath and pushed it open. The ballroom greeted him with its usual quiet beauty. Dust danced in the fading sunlight, and the mural of the dancers seemed to watch him with a soft, knowing gaze. But what truly caught his attention was Nia, standing near the stage, her glow slightly dimmer than usual. She looked up at him, and in her eyes, he saw a flicker of hope and concern. "Nia," he called softly, taking careful steps toward her. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let doubt make me stay away. I realize now that I care about you more than I ever imagined, and I don't want to lose what we have." Nia's expression softened, and she took a small step toward him. "Aaron. I wondered if you would return. I knew you would find your courage eventually, but I also feared you might not." "I was afraid," Aaron admitted, lowering his gaze for a moment. "Afraid that I couldn't understand you, that I couldn't belong here, or that our connection wasn't real. But now I know, it is real, and it matters more to me than anything else." Nia's smile grew, gentle and radiant. "That is all I have ever hoped for, Aaron. The bond we share is stronger than fear. It has been patient, waiting for you to see it clearly." He took her hands in his, feeling the warmth of her touch, the soft glow against his skin. "I don't want to doubt anymore. I want to be here with you, in this place, learning and sharing everything together." Nia's eyes shimmered with emotion. "And I will be here, Aaron. Always. This ballroom, its stories, and everything I am will be yours to discover. Together, we can bring life back to it, just as we can bring joy to ourselves." They moved closer to the center of the ballroom, the light from the chandeliers flickering gently as if the building itself celebrated their reunion. Aaron felt a weight lift from his heart, replaced with a warmth he could not describe. The doubts and fears that had haunted him felt smaller now, dwarfed by the certainty of their connection. Nia guided him to the floor, smiling softly. "Shall we dance?" she asked. Aaron nodded, a joyful excitement bubbling in his chest. Together, they began to move, slowly at first, then with increasing confidence. Each step, each turn, each gentle movement carried the emotions they had struggled to express with words. Through the dance, they spoke of trust, hope, and care. The ballroom responded as well, its chandeliers glinting, the floor echoing softly beneath their feet, and the dust swirling around them in delicate patterns. As they moved together, Aaron realized something he had not understood before. Love was not just about certainty or perfection, it was about being present, about facing fears, and about sharing your heart even when the path was uncertain. And in that moment, he knew he wanted to continue this journey with Nia, no matter how long it might take. When the dance ended, they stood together in the center of the room, hand in hand, their breathing slow but steady. Aaron looked into Nia's eyes, seeing the depth of her kindness, patience, and understanding. "I've never felt anything like this," he admitted softly. "Being here, with you, it feels like home." Nia's smile was gentle but full of warmth. "Then we have found our place, Aaron. Not just in the ballroom, but in each other. This is the beginning of everything we can share together." For the first time in many days, Aaron felt completely at peace. The ballroom was no longer just a place of memories or stories, it was alive with their connection, their shared hope, and their growing joy. Together, they could face anything, restore the beauty of the abandoned hall, and create a bond that would last far beyond the walls of the ballroom. As the last rays of sunlight faded, Aaron and Nia remained at the center, hands entwined, hearts aligned. The soft glow around Nia shimmered brighter than ever, reflecting the certainty, trust, and love that had returned. The ballroom, silent for decades, seemed to hum softly, alive with the promise of new beginnings. And in that moment, both Aaron and Nia knew that no fear, no doubt, and no distance could break the bond they had found in each other. The abandoned ballroom had never felt more alive. Aaron and Nia worked together with a quiet excitement that seemed to make every corner of the grand room glow. Dust was carefully swept from the floor, cobwebs removed from the chandeliers, and the faded patterns on the walls gently cleaned and restored. Each movement, each gesture, was filled with care, a reflection of their shared effort and growing connection. Aaron carried a stack of soft, worn cloths, wiping the wooden floor, while Nia moved gracefully, restoring the golden patterns along the walls. They laughed at small mishaps, a chandelier slightly tilting, a pattern smudging, but their laughter echoed through the hall, a sound that had not been heard here for decades. The ballroom, silent and lonely for so long, seemed to respond, almost as if it remembered the joy it once held. "This place is beautiful," Aaron said, pausing to admire the sunlight streaming through the tall windows. "I can't believe it was hidden away for so long." Nia smiled, watching him carefully clean a particularly dusty section of the floor. "It has always been beautiful. It just needed hearts that cared enough to see it again. That is why you came." Aaron's gaze softened. "I didn't just come for the ballroom. I came for you, Nia. And now, being here with you, I feel like this place, and everything we've shared, belongs to both of us." Nia reached for his hand, her touch warm and reassuring. "It does, Aaron. And together, we can make it a place where more people can feel joy, hope, and connection. Not just humans, but my people, too." The two of them moved to the center of the ballroom, stepping lightly on the polished floor. Nia held out her hands. "Shall we dance? Not just to remember the past, but to celebrate what we have now." Aaron smiled and took her hands. Their movements were easy, natural, and filled with the deep trust they had built over the past weeks. The ballroom responded to each step, each turn, each gentle sway. Light sparkled off the chandeliers, dust motes floated in patterns around them, and the air itself seemed to hum with a quiet magic. As they danced, Aaron realized how far they had come. From the moment he first discovered the ballroom, through the stories Nia had shared, the dances they had learned together, and the doubts he had faced, every step had led them here. The ballroom had become more than a building, it had become a symbol of hope, trust, and the beauty of connection. And Nia had become more than a mysterious guide, she was now a companion, a friend, and something even more precious. When the dance ended, they stood in the center, breathing softly, their hands still entwined. Aaron looked around at the transformed space. Chandeliers gleamed, the walls shone faintly in the evening light, and the murals seemed to come alive with color. "It's perfect," he whispered. "I never imagined it could feel so alive again." Nia rested her head lightly against his shoulder. "It is alive because of us, Aaron. Because we chose to care, to trust, and to share our hearts. This ballroom has waited a long time for someone like you, someone like us, to make it whole again." Aaron pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead. "And it feels like it has given me something, too. A place where I belong, and someone I care about more than I can say." Nia looked up, her eyes shimmering with soft light. "Then we have found it together. This place, and each other. It is a beginning, not just an ending." From that moment, Aaron and Nia made the ballroom a home for their shared dreams. They imagined gatherings where humans and Nia's people could meet, laugh, and dance. They painted, cleaned, and decorated, but more importantly, they filled it with warmth, trust, and care. Each day, their bond grew stronger, rooted in friendship, shared joy, and the understanding that love was about patience, courage, and connection. As the sun set outside, the ballroom glowed softly, reflecting the colors of the evening sky. Aaron and Nia stood hand in hand, looking at the space that had once been abandoned, now shining with life. "We did it," Aaron said softly. "Together." "Yes," Nia replied, smiling. "Together. And this is only the beginning of everything we can share." In the quiet of the night, the abandoned ballroom was no longer lonely. It was filled with the laughter, trust, and love of two beings from different worlds who had discovered that connection, patience, and hope could transform even the most forgotten places. And in that light, Aaron and Nia knew that their hearts had found a home not just in the ballroom, but in each other, forever.